Hey Fabio.
Hey Brandon, what's going on?
I was hoping we could talk to a good friend of mine. Actually, she's a patient of mine, and she agreed to come and tell her story.
Oh wow,
And she's really fun to talk to. So,
awesome.
uh, oh, there she is. So I'm really happy that you're here with us on EEG Talk because you are really articulate and have a lot of, I think, advice and experiences that could help other people who have epilepsy. Maybe we could start with just introduce yourself really quickly.
My name is Alex Drane. I am a patient of my, I think, one of the best doctors, humans in the world, Dr. Westover. I have worked in healthcare for 25 years, and it's always humbling to experience it from the other side. And I certainly draw on those experiences on a regular basis to be a fierce advocate on behalf of unpaid caregivers, which is what my company does now. But before that, I had another company called Eliza, and it just always worked on this idea that we have to expand the definition of health to include life, because when life goes wrong, health goes wrong. And that is certainly something that impacts the way I try and manage my own health um, more effectively, I would say.
No.
Sometimes I fail, but I try.
How long have you and I known each other at this point?
So we met, I had brain surgery June 21st of 2017, first day of summer. 14 months later, I had a massive seizure. And you and I met because when I woke up in the emergency room, you were standing at the foot of my bed.
Can you tell us a little bit about briefly what kind of, why did you have brain surgery, and then let's talk about the seizure experience.
Yeah, so I had brain surgery. I was found asymptomatically, incidental finding of a meningioma right in the center of my head
Right.
in 2011,
Mhm.
actually. And it was decided to do watchful waiting with
Yeah.
Dr. Barker, and waited about 6 years until Dr. Barker said to me one day, I just talked about this the other day, I was laughing about it. This is like head brain surgeon humor. He's like, well, the best time to get brain surgery is the day before you need to. And I didn't have any symptoms and didn't have any side effects, and he thought it was time for me to do it. So the unfortunate thing, it was literally right in the center of my head, which is pretty unusual. But I was also super healthy, so I had 9.5 hour brain surgery, and was pretty screwed up for a little bit. My brain was super swollen, but within about 6 to 7 weeks was really great and back at it. Unfortunately, back at it probably a little sooner than I should have been.
Meningiomas are they're actually pretty common, and they're considered benign, meaning that they're not usually life threatening, and you can just kind of watch and see what happens, and they maybe need to be operated on only if they get big enough that they start to cause some problems, but they don't spread to other parts of the body or things like that. So that's but in your case, you said 14 months later you actually did have some problems, even though the meningioma was gone. So tell us about what you remember about that, having a seizure.
Well, what's funny is I actually started having problems way earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So my surgery was June 21st. I went full tilt back on the road, working about 80 hours a week again by September.
Yeah.
And in retrospect, I think I had my first, what we called in my house, we didn't know that it was a seizure. We just thought, and one of the nurses had described to us that sometimes after you've had brain surgery, if you get too tired, if you're too strung out, you will return back to feeling exactly like you did right after your brain surgery. And that would happen to me. So the first time that happened was in September. We didn't know what to describe it, but the nurse said it was okay. You need to rest. So I rested. I slept that whole afternoon and then was right back at it. And this happened about 5 or 6 more times over those next 14 months.
Hmm.
And one of the times, this is funny, I was actually at a hotel room almost every time I was traveling for work. And I was, in retrospect, sleeping maybe 4 hours a night, incredibly stressed, not usually forgetting to eat, not drinking any water. Who knew water mattered that much? And I was in a hotel room, and my honey had learned to figure out that this was going on because I would sort of go incognito, like he couldn't find me. And one of my very dear friends was actually traveling with me at the same event. She's a kick-ass woman in healthcare, Margaret Laws. And he called her and said, I think she's having one of those things, because that's all we called it. And so she came and found me in my hotel room and literally like walked me. I was supposed to be on stage in front of like 4,000 people. As she was walking me through the casino. This is one of those big Las Vegas hotels. She was like, okay, you were going on stage. You were speaking about archangels. You are all set. On the stage with you is Rob Webb. He's going to pull you off the stage if he needs to. You are okay. You got this. We are in Las Vegas. So she's like drilling into me. And I was like, okay.
Disoriented.
Completely. I was doing what I realize now, like if you have at this point, it was like little seizures, but it was still a seizure. And my brain was rebooting. So as it was rebooting, she was like, come on, here we go. We're going. And so I literally walked onto the stage and gave my talk. I don't remember any of it. I'm giving another talk at that. I'm going to be on that stage again for the first time coming up. And I was just in the prep. I was like, they were like, well, remember when you did it last time? I was like, no, I don't remember it all actually. So it's funny, not funny. So then I had about a couple months after that, I was meeting a very dear friend who's also a coworker. And we were sitting actually in the Four Seasons having a meeting. And what I remember is I had just actually shot this commercial for whatever reason. I was really tired. I'd again been like insanely traveling. And what I remember and what she would describe is I sat down on the couch with her and I was like, I am so hungry. I probably should get something to eat. And then she says and all I remember is beginning to not be able to communicate. And because that's what will always happen to me. And she said, she saw me, she's like, I could look at you and you were looking at me like you were trying to tell me something, but I didn't know what you were trying to tell me. And then I, went back on the couch, had a full on seizure. In the Four Seasons, I'm sure it was pretty alarming for everyone who was there. And I don't remember anything about it. She still won't really talk to me about it. She's like, I don't think you want to know. It's best that you just carry on. And I think it was really traumatic for her. And all of those experiences were really traumatic for my man, for everyone else who loves me, to suddenly have me not know where I was or what I was doing, or I loop. It's the other thing, I will loop with my speech. So the good news is then I met Dr. Westover, and I've been in perfectly, very luckily, wonderful health ever since, because I changed my behavior.
That's really interesting. So at the same time though, you have a kind of a ritual, I guess, which is, I think you make it very public. And it's inspirational. Would you mind telling us a little bit about that? Because I think
yes, and you guys are going to do it with me today. Yay. So Dr. Westover, can I first say, Dr. Westover, what you said to me at the foot of the bed?
Sure.
So what he said that was so impactful and has governed my life ever since. Mm-hmm. And, I'm in the emergency room bed and I'm so terrified that I'm going to go get an MRI, and actually like everything's come, my things have come back. So I was literally like panic breathing. My mom's next to me, my man. And I was whispering to my mom, I'm so scared. And then Dr. Westover appears and he's so calm and has the kindest face. And he's like, all right, we're going to talk about this. Talk to your family. I understand that you love your job. You work around the clock, and that's cool. I just want you to know that everybody has a threshold for seizures. Everybody. If you've had brain surgery, that threshold comes down. If you work around the clock, if you don't take care of yourself, if you are stressed out, you are at increased risk of seizures. So I'm not going to tell you, because I understand I can't, that you've got to work 40 hours a week, but I am going to tell you that you can't work 80. I'm not going to tell you have to sleep 10 hours a night, but I am going to tell you got to sleep about 7. And it was in a subsequent conversation that we discovered the water thing. I had no idea that water was so impactful, and exercise. So I love you, Dr. Westover. Thank you for that. It was just a great, great gift. So the other thing he did was put me on what we called vitamin K in my house, because we think it's just the best thing ever. And I take it every morning and every night. And I was finding that I was forgetting if I had taken it. Mm-hmm. So my son, who was probably 10 or 11 at the time, started a folder in my phone, and he named it Superhero Moments. I call it my superhero drug. And every time I take the drug, I take a picture. So I'm going to do it right now with you guys. I'm taking it. Smile. And you'll go in my thing, and then I'll show you. So every day, if I can't remember if I've taken it or not, I will look back and be like, oh, I did take it. And I try and take it at a moment in the day, if I can control it, that is something special that I want to remember, so that when I look back at the day, I see special things. So Here are some examples of, this is my favorite book right now, American Made by Ferris Stockman. She's incredible. You can see my little pill right there. That's my dad. I love him madly. He's always happy when I take it. That's my son, Leo, the original inventor of this idea. And you can see the pill and everyone. That's my dog. My daughter, gorgeous girl. They're all big fans. My man, he was mad I was interrupting him. I got to speak at CNN's Life Itself. Took a picture there.
You did it at CNN?
Oh yeah. I mean, I was not speaking yet at that moment, but I was like, oh crap, I forgot.
Cool.
My friend David Brailer, and I'll just explain to people, this is what I'm doing. And look, this is the one I just took.
Yay.
So I literally have, if you look in that folder, I think I have at this point of time, thousands of pictures.
What a cool idea. I mean, you've taken something that, it's could be just viewed as a chore or something. I mean, you made it like actually special and, meaningful. That's really inspirational.
It's really fun to go back through and think, oh, that's right. And then we did this, and everyone, all my best friends, coworkers, we all know. I'm like, hold on, we call it a pill peck, and we'll take it. So yeah, I'm very lucky.
That's awesome. So if you could look back now, Alex, and after you've learned so much and experienced it so much and went through everything you've been through, if you could go back, how would you tell your prior self when you were diagnosed, and what tips would you give yourself? You mentioned some of them, like sleeping, hydrating, but overall, what would you say?
I just didn't take seriously at all that you absolutely can have a positive impact on your health. I tell other people that all the time, right? I think most people who work in healthcare, we have two personalities. We have the personality that tells everyone else what they should do, and then we have our own personality. Yeah. So I've long believed, I'm on the executive council for sleep medicine for Harvard Medical School. Like, I understand the value of sleep as an example, and yet I myself wasn't doing it. And I was told very clearly after my brain surgery, you need to take care of yourself. And I absolutely ignored it. So what I would say to everyone is, when you get advice about how to stay healthy, please do follow it. It's not clever or cute to not. And I thought it was funny that I was, working around the clock. Aren't I lucky? I love what I do, which I do, but can't really work really well if you're not well. So to me, the top ones are sleep. Sleep really, really, really matters. If I get consecutive days of not sleeping, I will take very seriously, making sure I'm lying in bed for whatever number of hours. I aim to sleep for 7 hours every night. Water, hydration. Who knew? I literally had no idea that, like, water. Here we go. She hangs out with me all the time. I use clear bottles so I can watch Sorry to the Environment. This is my one trade-off, so that I can see how much I'm drinking every day and make sure I'm obsessed about water. I eat well, I exercise. And what I do to try and manage stress is just remind myself on a regular basis that I have choices, and that I'm lucky that I love what I do, and that if at some point the stress is getting too strong, I've got to do something about it, because I don't want to have my health negatively impacted. So they're so obvious, like duh, but for whatever reason, I think often we forget. And the last thing I would say is, ask your friends to be your pals in it. And my friends, family, loved ones are not shy in saying, you're not treating yourself well, and that's stupid. And we're not in the mood to have to, show up at the hospital again. So do me a favor. So they laugh and they tease me lovingly, but it is an important reminder to take the steps I need to do to stay healthy.